Burning Sins, Chapter 2, Confrontation.
Fire in the hole!
Nathan widened his eyes as a voice came from his right. His stupor and confusion broken as he found one of the many techno-colored horse people standing right next to him, hands on the barrel of a large cannon mounted on two wheels. Seeing that the large maw of that cannon was locked onto him, and it was only a few feet away, Nathan didn't have the time to react or reach for his own weapon before the cannon unleashed a colorful blast of confetti-riddled horror upon him. The concussive force of the blast was enough to send him flying backwards, but the condensed ball of party favors burrowed into his chest, knocking the wind out of him and no doubt blasting a hole into his center. Clutching his chest as confetti, streamers, and various small party decorations fluttered down around him, Nathan scooted himself backwards as he tried to right himself, his body going into fight or flight while old habits and muscle memory kicked in. A light blue missile was approaching him from above, a rainbow trailing behind it. Scrambling forward to avoid it, he narrowly dodged the body as it kicked up the dirt behind him. Seeing his backpack a few meters away, he crawled for it in hopes to retrieve anything inside that could help him. He grabbed it, just as that same cyan-colored blur slammed into his back. Yelling out as something wrapped around his midsection, Nathan felt himself being carried upwards. Thinking fast, he reached into the bag and grabbed a pocket knife. Flicking it open, he jammed it into anything he could reach over his shoulder, the blade piercing something organic as a cry of pain came with it. Grunting at the ringing in his ear, he yelped as he descended back to the ground, crashing through a few tables while the blue body tumbled elsewhere. Kicking off the broken pieces of table, Nathan threw the knife into the crowd, hitting one of those noble-looking ponies in the arm, while the ones in strange golden armor rushed him. Flinching down as a torrent of strange energy went sailing over his own head, Nathan was caught off guard when another one of the ponies tackled him to the ground. Struggling with a very strong orange mare, Nathan reached to his side into the bag, bringing out a metal bottle he used for water in his travels. Flinging it upwards, his strike was blocked, and his arm was forced above his head. Gritting his teeth, he threw his other arm upwards. Punching her in the jaw, Nathan got his legs up and shoved her off of him. Scrambling to his feet, he found himself backing up to the same cannon that hit him before, the concussive force of the blast throwing him forward this time as a searing pain coursed through his spine. At this point, whatever these creatures were saying to him or each other was tuned out. Coupled with the ringing, Nathan knew that his present location wasn't safe. He had to either grab his stuff and leave, or stand his ground and fight. The second part was difficult, given the pink mare with the cannon kept surprising him and blasting him into the dirt. Seeing as he was now in the center of the party, he was completely surrounded. It was like old times now. Him against the world. He had to fight his way out, the conservative and creative way. First things first.
Fire in the hole!
The pink mare was cut off as a fist scraped across her muzzle, throwing her away from the cannon as Nathan took control of it. With the fuse still lit, he used his foot to kick its aim towards the crowd of ponies. With a dangerous blast of party favors clearing him the first few feet of a path, Nathan found his arms being restrained by those armored ponies, while another was holding a set of cuffs. Kicking his foot forward, he pushed the pony into the bushes while Nathan headbutted the soldier pony on his left. With his arm freed, he socked the other one in the jaw, throwing him over his shoulders into another table. Running for his bag, he scooped up his things and made a break for it, while the numbers of present guards were low. Jumping over a few shrubs and into the thicket, he made his way around the unknown area as he realized he was lost in an unfamiliar castle. Heading for the only available entry inside, he hopped through a window just as the guards caught up with him. Sprinting through the hallways, he slammed or bypassed several maid and butler ponies, trying to find his way downstairs so he could escape the growing armada of strong-looking stallions and mares. Seeing a door ajar at the end of the corridor, he ripped it open and jumped inside, taking a moment to breathe and nurse his wounds. Sluggishly kneeling down to sit, Nathan brought his hand up to his chest, coughing slightly as he drenched his hand in red. That cannon really ripped him up, and considering the dampness in his back, he suspected the blast in his back also ripped open another large gash. He needed to stop and think this through. The situation was aberrant, at best, and completely screwed at worst. He had to get his head on straight and figure out what was happening. Moments earlier, he was walking through his own property, collecting wood to continue building the barn out behind his house. He had gone through the same path multiple times that day, but just as the sun set, a strange and sudden breeze swept over him, his vision turning some sort of pinkish rainbow. In that instant, the wind came. Then, next thing he knew, he was standing in a clearing staring at humanoid ponies. Was he tripping on something? Is he in some sort of gang shootout and is just hallucinating?
Search the area, find the changeling and detain it before it gets loose outside the castle.
Nathan grumbled as he shifted himself to hide behind the door as it swung open. With the guard coming and looking both ways, he turned and walked back out, leaving the door open for Nathan to peek through. Multiple guards were sweeping the halls trying to find him. He couldn't really see all of them, but from the numbers he saw out there already, there was at least 24 in the hall he was in right now.
Anything?
No traces of magic anywhere, and the creature must have escaped to the upper levels.
The maids told us he went this way, though. Think he might have jumped out the window?
Yeah, probably. Can never be too sure with these... whatever they are.
Whatever they are? Come on, Private, it's obviously a changeling. Just a straggler who somehow evaded Shining Armor's spell, but didn't do a good job trying to disguise itself.
Nathan rose an eyebrow at the accusation. What the hell is a changeling, and who is Shining Armor? Nathan watched them patrol the hallways for a few minutes, attempting to find a pattern in their search. It proved fruitless. Their movements were erratic, completely unpredictable. He'll have no luck finding a way out from the inside of the castle. Pulling himself up, he ignored the protesting pain in his torso as he lumbered for the other end of the room he hid in. Coming to a window, he pursed his lips as he opened it and looked out. The courtyard seemed to be made from the protrusions of the mountain the city was attached to, while the ground level was facing towards the multiple districts beyond the castle. So where the hell was he? And how is he going to get out of the city? Even if he makes it out of the castle, there's no way he'd be able to just climb his way down the mountain, without the very high chance of him tripping up on a rock and falling to his death. Well, first things first, he had to escape this deranged castle. He wasn't safe so long as he stayed here. Climbing out the window, Nathan ducked down on the other side, keeping a low profile as he moved around the base of the tower he was in. Coming up to a corner, he stopped just before another window, peering through as he heard voices from inside.
Come on, girls, he hasn't gotten far. He had to have gone this way.
Nathan cursed as he saw that blue rainbow horse flying about inside. Other ponies, excluding the pink one he punched in the face, followed after her.
Now hold your horses, Rainbow, we're coming! Are you sure it went this way, Rainbow Dash? Totally. There's no other way except this hallway, and the front gate is heavily guarded. No way it could get out without flying, and it didn't have any wings. It was still disguised, Rainbow. It could easily revert back and use its natural wings to fly away. Yeah, well, shoot, I didn't think of that. I'll head outside and look for it in the air.
Nathan widened his eyes, pulling back from the window and hugging the wall as this Rainbow Dash flew past him, taking off with its stream of colors following behind it. Watching it fly upwards to the top of the castle, Nathan glanced back into the castle as the other ponies continued on, conversing as they went.
Well, at least Dash has got surveillance. Come on, girls, we gotta keep moving. Y'all know what that thing was, Twilight? I'm assuming it was just another changeling, but I'd never seen one that looked like that before.
The purple unicorn horse slowed to a stop as she hung her head in thought, her finger coming up to her chin as she pulled some blinds back with a strange purple aura coming from her horn.
I'm not sure, Applejack. I was thinking the same thing, but Princess Celestia seemed to be just as confused as the rest of us when we saw it. I was thinking she'd be a bit more defensive, given what she had went through as opposed to the rest of us, but she looked as if she didn't even know what she was looking at. Well, she has been in a changeling cocoon throughout those dreadful hours earlier today. I'd be anything but out of my mind at the thought of any more of those beasties coming back and covering me with that nasty slime, darling.
Nathan's eyebrows narrowed as he heard more and more about these changelings. Transforming slime. He was perfectly dry all around. He had no slime coming off of him. Talk about an insult.
I'm just glad Fluttershy isn't here. After the wedding, she was quick to go back to Ponyville.
Can't say I blame the girl. Even I'm still shaken from all that hoopla, and even now, it ain't over. The changelings are still inside the castle, especially after all that. Well, at least we only have one to worry about. Come on, let's keep looking.
The three ponies looked around the halls as Nathan retreated from the window again, taking a few breaths as he faced forward once more. Crossing over a small junction in the palace yards, he made his way into some sort of large hedge maze. Good and bad for him. He'll get lost in here easily, but at least these armored horses will too. Placing a hand on his stomach as he could feel the blood leaking from him, the human cleared his throat as he moved on, trying to ignore the pain and stifle the blood loss as much as possible. Passing out here is the worst thing that could happen to him. Who knows what these things will do to him if they got their hands on him. Thankfully, he didn't have to traverse the maze far to reach another exit, and with a stroke of good luck, it was near the main entrance. He kept himself under cover the whole way, as that blue horse was still flying about overhead looking for him. One wrong step, and he would be caught in her crosshairs. And considering how fast she was, he didn't want to be thrown into the dirt by her again. I mean, can you really blame him for attacking them? He got blasted in the chest by a cannon and then flung up into the air. That's pretty intimidating. And I suppose the PTSD doesn't help either. Anywho, let's get on to our energetic donators. Top donators: Jessie Smith, Star 630, BadassWaffle, Only One Thanks to Orion and Caladis, Magic, JockeTF, Luciisu, Darkside, Rayden, Narwhals, Blackmoonheart, Pastel, Sky, Salson, Roland, Sorbether, Murder, Darmacombe Library, Rune Scythe, Will, Chris, Twinkie, Rise, Soul Shadow, Moon, Luigi, Chance, Crest, Big Smoke, Bobcat, Murder Princess, Jet, Little Mighty, Solar Symphony, and many more amazing people. Thank you all so much for watching this video and live life to the fullest.